Hi, thanks for joining us for tonight's webinar. Mike and Christina from IOGT International are our presenters for tonight. I met Mike and Christina in London a few months ago, and it was really great to talk to them about how positively they view a life without alcohol. And it's a message that they try and spread all over the world, and they've got contacts everywhere, trying to kind of create a worldwide community really of sober people, and so it really kind of gelled what their message was with Soberista's message. So I'm really pleased they're presenting tonight, and I'll hand straight over to Christina. At the end, Mike and Christina will be answering questions, so if you've got any questions throughout, just type them in the text box at the side, and we'll answer as many as we can later. All right, I'll hand over to Mike and Christina now. Thanks.
Thank you, Lucy, and good evening, everyone. My name is Christina. I'm president of IGT International, which is a worldwide organization. We have 122 organizations in 54 countries that deal with everything from alcohol prevention, alcohol advocacy, rehabilitation, and treatment. And what we are going to talk about today is how it's a little bit to show you a little bit how we work with prevention, how we question alcohol norms, because what the problem with alcohol prevention has been, and which has made prevention programs also pretty unsuccessful, was that the prevention programs with, for example, students and in schools, they are talking a lot about the harm that will appear in 20, 30 years, which doesn't mean anything to young people. It's talking about what the young people are lacking, instead of focusing on why young people actually use alcohol, or not only young people, why people use alcohol. So now we will discuss a little bit, or we will talk about placebo and myths and expectations around alcohol. I want to show you several pictures in a row, and this is something that actually summarizes our approach very much. And this is a little example of a longer exercise that we do with people. Because what is also very important to say is that if we want to change behavior of people, we need to undermine the beliefs that they have about alcohol, and this one shows it pretty much. So this exercise would be showing a guy, and the people can give him a name and create a story about this guy. But what is very interesting is that this guy in this environment, let's call him Luke, and this guy holding a cup of beer in this environment. The same guy look in this environment, and the same guy in this environment. It's still the same guy with same experiences from the previous hours during the day, but still has different experience just because of holding the cup, or because of being in a certain environment. And this is what we are talking about a lot. The problem very often is in our societies that Luke wouldn't even know that he can have fun in this environment like this, and not necessarily like this. And this is what happens in our culture, that we don't even have the chance to experience fun without alcohol or using alcohol. So we from the beginning connect all the fun and nice experience with alcohol. And now I will go deeper into that. So when it comes to influence of alcohol, we can divide it into subjective and objective influence of alcohol. There is some chemical impact on us, which has that inhibits the processes in our body. So, and this we know, alcohol is an inhibitor, which means that after using it, we should actually just get tired and go to bed and sleep. But what happens is that we experience something very different, and that's the subjective experience connected to alcohol. And when we ask people what they experience, we get this: it's enjoyment, they experience breakdown of inhibitions, they forget worries, they relax, they get good sleep, but they also connected with aggressiveness, for example. And these are just few associations that people have with alcohol use. If we continue, then we can also get associations like being sad and being happy. So alcohol makes people sad, but alcohol also makes them happy. And alcohol makes some people pleasant, and some people become very mean because of alcohol use. And then people get aroused, but at the same time they can get very calm. They get silent, and some people get very talkative. Some people are very friendly, and some people are very hostile when they use alcohol. And already this has to tell us something, and that something is that alcohol doesn't have that impact that we think that it has on our mood and on our behavior. A lot of it is created by the environment that is around us, because it cannot be that the chemical substance of ethanol would have this kind of magic impact on us, that we will be everything from sad to happy, from friendly to hostile. And then in that case, like to talk a little bit more even about what expectations we have from alcohol and how we learn how to behave when we use alcohol. This exercise is very good. So you can also now just do it for yourself when we go through the pictures. But this exercise is like this, like we show different pictures of alcohol to people. So hard spirits, beer, some cocktails, and wine. And the people are supposed to reflect a little bit on in what context this, like a certain type of alcohol is used. So when do we use hard spirits, and when do we use beer, and when do we use cocktails, and when do we use wine? And when we reflect on that, we also discuss how do we behave when we use it? How do we feel when we use it? Sometimes we are really encouraged and cheerful. Sometimes we are in a very cozy mood and are relaxing. Sometimes we feel very elegant and very sophisticated, and sometimes we feel very free, and we feel free to be vulgar even. So what is that? Because in all of those, there is the only substance that we also blame for all those feelings, or we attribute those feelings to, and that's ethanol, and it's always the same substance. So how come that we behave and we use it in such different contexts? And in connection to that, I would show you now a short movie. I hope it will work well. The movie was made in Swedish, but then we have added subtitles. So I hope that the subtitles, like that they are long enough for you to read the message and see the picture.
De vanligaste anledningarna till varför vi dricker alkohol är ju för att få hångla, eller ha kul med våra kompisar, våga dansa, bli pratiga eller helt enkelt för att slappna av. Men kan allt det där roliga verkligen rymmas i en flaska? Är alkohol en magisk dryck som får oss att fixa det rent kemiskt? Nja, det finns faktiskt inga riktiga medicinska bevis för att det är själva alkoholen som pepprar oss till att ha kul. Utan det som egentligen händer när vi dricker alkohol är att vi är så himla övertygade om att det ska göra oss hämningslösa och glada, att själva förväntan gör oss berusade. Man skulle kunna säga att man inte blir full, man blir förväntansfull. Man pratar ju ofta om placebo-effekten i samband med läkemedel, fenomenet som innebär att något, till exempel ett piller utan riktig effekt, ändå kan få oss att må bättre eller sämre om vi bara förväntar oss att det ska göra det. Det många inte känner till är att det faktiskt fungerar på exakt samma sätt med alkohol. Det som spelar störst roll för känslan av berusning är att man tror att man har druckit alkohol, inte att man faktiskt har gjort det. Det bästa sättet att bevisa det är genom ett blindtest, och de går till ungefär så här. Eftersom labb inte är så festliga så placerar man sig med fördel i en miljö där det brukar drickas alkohol, som till exempel en bar eller på en klubb. De inte ont anande försökspersonerna tror att de blir serverade drinkar med alkohol i, men i själva verket är det alkoholfritt. Och det är nu det blir spännande. För trots att försökspersonerna inte har druckit en droppe alkohol så upplever de att de har blivit berusade. Det är alltså placeboeffekten som spökar och vi låter oss luras. 1998 gjorde psykologiprofessorn Roland Gustafsson en stor sammanställning av 176 olika forskningsstudier. Han granskade noggrant både blindtester och andra undersökningar, och den enhälliga slutsatsen var att det inte fanns några vetenskapliga bevis för att alkohol faktiskt försvagar hämningar och orsakar impulsivt beteende. Men varför är då våra hjärnor så programmerade att tro att alkohol ska välsigna oss med en berusning som ska göra allting roligt? Egentligen är det inte så konstigt. Vi blir ju konstant matade med bilden av att kul och fest är lika med alkohol. Det testas öl i morgonsoffor, studenter pyntas med champagneflaskor på examen och mormor blir fnissig av nubben på julafton. Det är helt enkelt norm att dricka alkohol, och bilden av vad den förväntas göra för under med oss finns överallt omkring oss och ärvs från generation till generation. Men det är alltså svårt att bevisa att det finns något kemiskt alls som ger alla de där roliga effekterna som man förknippar med alkohol. Tvärtom, det enda man faktiskt har lyckats fastslå med säkerhet är att alkohol kan slå ut våra motoriska funktioner, vilket leder till att man kan snubbla, tappa saker, kräkas, prata sluddrigt eller somna. Men det är väl inte därför som vi dricker alkohol?
Yeah. Sorry. So that was the movie, and that is actually the approach that we have. And then what are the real effects of us experiencing good mood or some kind of encouraged behavior is something else. It's not the substance of alcohol, but it's the permissive environment. It's those expectations that we build around alcohol, and it's social beliefs. And that's the expectations, for example, they come from all around, from our family. Like, we learn the expectations about alcohol, and that comes from families, that come mainly from media, from all the commercials that we can see, from all the movies that we watch. Permissive environment, that's also very interesting, because some behavior that we wouldn't be allowed to do, or it wouldn't be acceptable, gets or becomes accepted when we have used alcohol. So alcohol is also very often used as an excuse, and then the society in that case opens for behavior that wouldn't usually be normal. Let me see. So also the question is, why are people more relaxed in social gatherings when using alcohol? And that's a combination of two. One is the expectancies that people learn. So just from holding a glass, we can already see that people feel a little bit more social, a little bit more talkative, a little bit more funny or relaxed. So that's one part, like the expectations. And the other part is self-handicapping, because we are also self-handicapping ourselves through alcohol use. And that is that, like, our self-image and self-esteem can't be somehow worsened. That's how human beings behave. They don't want that to happen. But when alcohol is involved, it's okay. It's excused. It's excused by ourselves and also by society around us. So just having alcohol in hands, not even in our blood, makes us less vulnerable for failure, and that makes us more relaxed, and that gives us certain experiences in social gatherings that we attribute to alcohol, which also makes us then dependent on alcohol, and not physically but mentally dependent, and that takes away from us the experience of ourselves without alcohol, as we always use it, as we have learned to use it. The question is, because many people also argue that it's very pleasurable to use alcohol, but the question is, what actually is pleasure? Because again, like the evidence shows, or the studies shows, that people who use alcohol for the first time, they don't experience any pleasant feeling. And it doesn't stop only at by alcohol. For example, even those who use marijuana, they don't report any pleasant feelings, or other drugs even. So what happens is that we learn in a social group to understand that the feeling that we have in us is pleasant. And also, if we analyze how alcohol is how alcohol is used or introduced to novice users, it's very often in groups, and the groups create often pleasurable environment. So everything is positive when we are taking in the substance. So that's one proof in a way that it's not the substance that makes us feel pleasant, pleasurable, or any pleasure, is that the novice users who do not know what they are supposed to feel, they actually don't have any pleasant feelings. The other thing that leads to some pleasure is actually a relaxation from strict social norms that we often experience when we have used alcohol. But it's the breaking the norm itself that brings pleasure, and that can be norms on different levels, and it can be very internal norms that we have built in ourselves. Excuse me. Now I hear voices. Okay. Now I hear myself. Okay, but I will just continue hearing myself. So the second one was the relaxation of strict social norms and breaking the norms, and that brings the pleasure. So it's not substance, but it's the behavior that we do, and this is what we do when we discuss talk with people about their alcohol use. So they manage to separate behavior from substance, and that they understand that the behavior they are
Christina.
That way whenever they want.
Hi, Christina.
Yeah.
Hi, Johnny. Have you got any other devices on at all at the moment?
Oops. I hear voices.
You've got any other computers on or anything?
Okay, now I just hear you, Sean, in echo many times.
I'm trying to think what could be in the feedback. Okay, we'll carry on.
Can it be from Lucy's computer? Because I can see her switching between Lucy's screen and Christina's screen. Is it like if Lucy closes the microphone, the feedback disappears?
Lucy, can you turn your microphone on? Do you want to go again, Christina?
Okay.
That's it, great.
Where should I continue? I hope you guys heard about the two reasons for the pleasure, the arguments about what's pleasurable and what is not. But I can summarize it shortly. So pleasurable, like novice users, actually do not perceive pleasant feeling when using alcohol. That's something learned. experienced users report pleasant feelings. And then the other reason why the alcohol use is connected with pleasure is that when we use alcohol, we often also are in situations when we relax from norms, or we break some norms, and just that feeling, like clearly psychologically, is very pleasant for us. So that's where the feeling comes, and that's what we then talk about, or we want to underline with people, to change their behavior and to make them understand that they actually are very funny, or they are talkative, or they can relax, and the substance is not needed. They can do it themselves. But of course, it's not very easy, as we are bombed by pictures that connect fun with alcohol use all the time. And this is just one example, and I believe I don't need to explain it, and I believe that you have seen many of the commercials around you that are connecting party with alcohol. Another one, oopsie, doesn't show, which is pity. But anyway, on the other picture, we see another alcohol commercial, which tells you that alcohol gives you charisma, which of course, again, is not true, but it is something that gets very easy to people's minds. So this would be what media does to us. And now you can see it here. Charisma, you can't buy it, you can make it, and you can't fake it. But if you use Heineken, then you will have it. Is the message. So these are the messages that come from media, from all the possible sides. And then we also have messages that come from the society, and also like all the expectations and all the pressure to use it. And I can show you one. Again, it's a Swedish commercial. Just to explain, I live in Sweden, so that's where my material comes from often. But yeah, I have again put in some subtitles. I believe this will be even easier to follow than the previous movie.
Vi gick in i Nej tack, det är bra.
Ta en kaka.
Nej, men det är bra. Jag har ätit 3 stycken.
Ja, och jag käkar 5.
Anders, kom igen, ta en kaka och var som folk.
Ja.
Det är bra, jag
Sluta vara så mesig.
Anders.
Jag får inte ha
Bravo!
So this was a commercial that is made by the alcohol monopoly in Sweden, that is supposed to raise awareness about alcohol and all the pressure that people have to resist in society. And I can also actually share with you my personal experience, because I told you I live in Sweden, but I am right now in Slovakia, and I'm here because of the reunion that I had from my secondary school after 15 years. And it was very interesting for me, because of course there was lots of alcohol around, and I was not using it. And then we were talking, and we had a very nice time. Like, we were discussing everything from how we are, where we are with our families, and do we have kids or not. And we even discussed environmental issues and such. So people were using alcohol, and then at the same time we were sitting there, and they were able to discuss serious topic, and they also had fun. And then, like, during this, I was, as I said, I was not having anything, but my friends were encouraging everyone around to use. So I could hear, like, very often, several of them encouraging others to pour a little bit more into their glasses, and then they were cheering even on distance and such. So this was happening, and then in the end of the evening, one of my classmates came to me, and she told me that she really admired my lifestyle, and that I live according to my principles, that I follow them, and at the same time that I was not forcing anyone to be alcohol free that evening, and I didn't ask anyone not to use alcohol. And for me that is very, very interesting, because this is a picture also of our culture. Like, if I would ask one person not to use it, then I would be not looked at in a very positive way. But there were people who were asking other people or encouraging other people to use, even if they didn't want to. That was very okay. So this is also very interesting how our society works. And here I was talking about the pleasurable experience that we create when we use alcohol. So now I would just introduce you several steps how it's actually happening psychologically. And here they are. So alcohol is presented for different ritual purposes, and then that's, for example, reunion or a childbirth or birthday parties or like different celebrations. And alcohol is through those rituals also given a very symbolic meaning. It's of course a symbol of celebration. It's very often also a symbol of higher status. It can be a symbol of sophistication or party and fun, as we talked about before. And then this alcohol use then is connected through the placebo experience, that was a placebo effect or expectancies that were mentioned in the movie. So regardless whether people use alcohol or not, they experience fun that is connected. They experience fun that they have learned that they are supposed to experience, and then the internal cues, so the chemical processes that are happening in the body, because alcohol has impact on our body and brains. Those internal cues are getting interpreted to get psychological meaning for us, and we assign specific feelings to those cues, and then that's how we create the feeling of being high. And then the feeling of being high is then associated with other experiences around, so to having fun with people around, to celebrations and again. So it's it's a circle in a way. But what I would like to talk about, or like what we know, and we have heard it in the video in the beginning, but here it's written, so we can go through it. But as said, that alcohol has impact on our motoric functions, but it definitely doesn't have any effect on our mood and on our behavior. Like, it has subjective effect on our mood, but it doesn't have medical. There is no medical evidence that there are chemical reactions in our body that would influence our mood or behavior. And the same goes for loss of inhibition. So there is really nothing happening in the body that would cause loss of the inhibitions. And alcohol definitely doesn't lead to aggression from a chemical point of view. Then very often there are many cases of violence that are connected to alcohol use, but that is not the chemical reaction in the body that causes it. Alcohol and sex, that actually alcohol actually decreases like libido. But what is very interesting, that people report, those people with a moderate consumption, they report increased libido. but chemically it decreases. Alcohol and humor, again, there is really no chemical reaction in our brains that would make us perceive things more funny, more. And then the second one is also connected, or the next one is also connected to that, alcohol and fun. Again, there is no chemical reaction in the body. When it comes to alcohol and the body, as I said, it has influence on our motoric functions. Then also it slows down our reaction time, and it decreases the intellectual performance. Alcohol and taste, that's also very interesting, is because alcohol as such doesn't have taste. Ethanol doesn't have taste. Ethanol burns in our mouth, but it doesn't have any taste. So also the arguments from people that alcohol tastes good, for them, that's not the alcohol, that's not the taste of alcohol, but all the other ingredients in the liquid that they are consuming. And now I have actually, this is the last slide, which I wanted to also mention, that is these studies that there is evidence that this is evidence-based what I have presented, but it's difficult to accept for various reasons. For example, it's difficult to accept for those who want to connect alcohol with joy, because that would mean that they would need to learn another way of behaving. And it's also difficult to accept by those people who blame or who connect alcohol with violence, for example, and to avoid to be able to blame someone or their actions for alcohol. So that is happening, but the evidence is there. Let me see. Yes, and that would be it. So just to summarize it, it's very interesting to work with the placebo effect of alcohol and discuss that with people. And also it's very interesting, and there are very many good exercises for questioning what the media is presenting us. And if we once start reflecting on it, then we see it really more and more, and we see it everywhere, wherever we look, like commercials from in TVs or billboards, like everywhere. Which when knowing it, now I hear myself again. Okay, now I don't. So when knowing it, that's already that it's proof that this awareness already leads to changed behavior. And then the awareness about those facts that I have mentioned above, and when we undermine all those connections that are so rooted in our cultures, that also leads to change of behavior and to reduced alcohol use or even abstinence. Thank you very much. That would be my presentation. I'm very ready for questions.
Thanks, Christina. I hope everyone can hear me now. I'm sorry about the interference there. I think it was when my microphone was on, so apologies about that. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. The media stuff specifically, I kind of became really aware of how manipulating the media is about alcohol products when I stopped drinking, and it's really, really helped me, because I really didn't want to feel like I was being manipulated. And I felt like I'd been kind of made a fool of, really, by buying into all of that. So educating yourself, I think, about how underhand the tactics are from the media, from the alcohol industry, is like a really useful way of making yourself feel better about not drinking. If anybody's got any questions for Christina or Mike, just write them in now. There is one question, Christina, for you that's just popped up. if you're all right to answer this one, but how did you learn to have fun without alcohol? I don't think have you ever drunk, Christina? Or
No, I have never used alcohol.
you've never drunk, have you? So how have you? I mean, did you have to learn how to have fun, or was it just something that just came naturally? Or
Yeah, I never learned, and that's why for me it was very difficult to understand why people need it, because like one of the reasons why I never used alcohol was that I never seen the meaning in using alcohol, as I had fun and nice experiences without that. So I really never felt a need to even try it. And I learned it by just living life, and life gave me the proofs.
Can I say something to this? Yeah, I think this is Fiona. This is a brilliant question, and I think Christina's experience as a lifetime entertainer is awesome, because now we have to ask Christina, how did you learn to have fun? And I think it's a mind-blowing question, because everyone coming to this planet knows how to have fun. And then something happens in our socialization where we introduce a substance, and it's not just alcohol, but we introduce other substances that somehow replace this innate sense of how we socialize and what we call fun and what we call pleasurable, as Christina has said. So I think taking this perspective of alcohol as a social construct and thinking it from the perspective of people who have never used alcohol, we can see how this is, as Lucy has said, how this is brought upon us, how we have to learn it, how everyone is being taught by the alcohol industry how to deal with that. And later on, as we get deeper into this, we can't even imagine that people cannot have fun without those bottles and those substances. And that's been a little bit my experience.
was absolutely convinced. I was sorry, I don't know if you missed the beginning of that. That's microphone issues, but I was absolutely convinced when I stopped drinking that I was going to just be so bored for the rest of my life. And as time's gone on, I've just found that childlike kind of interest in the world again, returning, without any of the falsities that alcohol brings about, or it's just a completely sort of warped way of looking at things, that you've got to rely on a substance to have fun, when children, and right up until we start drinking, we never even question it, we just naturally have fun. But we are taught by society that's not the case. When you're an adult, you've got to use alcohol. So yeah, I think the longer you go without drinking and the more situations you put yourself in where you can have fun, where you're sober, the more you realise what a complete load of rubbish that is. It's not about alcohol at all, it's about state of mind and being happy with yourself. I don't know if anybody else has got any questions. I'm just thinking, I've got a question about, the work of IOGT, just to explain to people, while people are writing questions down, is just you're sort of bringing together organisations and groups from around the world to sort of promote this idea that alcohol-free living is a good way to be. Is that a good summary of IOGT?
This is the summary of IOGT that deals with the lifestyle part, definitely. Like what we do is that we gather organizations and people who also question and challenge the alcohol norm. The other part is that we also do advocacy for better alcohol policies that will create more alcohol-free environments, so people actually have chance to experience alcohol-free lifestyle.
Yeah, you can say about IOGT, today we are the largest global movement that gathers people who want to live free from alcohol. So as Christina said earlier, we are membership based and we have member organizations in 54 countries. We are also a very old movement. We were founded in 1851. So 164 years old. So what's important for us is that we bring people together in safe, inclusive, enabling environments that are alcohol-free and drug-free, and that allow people to tap into their full potential. That's what we do in IOGT, and that's what our grassroots organizations around the world are good at.
Great. Sorry, I'm just trying to work out whether can you hear me now?
Yeah.
My microphone on, right? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic, and it's totally what Sober Easter stands for. It's like getting this message across that it's not, you're not committing yourself to this terrible one day at a time existence that's going to be so boring, but it's just that life is actually better once you've got rid of that addiction or dependency and you live completely free from alcohol. It is just totally the best thing I ever did. I think it's brilliant. Have you two kind of noticed an increase in alcohol-free bars and things around kind of the countries that you visit? I mean, there's been a few in England that have popped up in the last year or two, so it does look like people are becoming aware that there's a need for it. Hopefully there's more to come.
Yeah, what I can say is not an increase of alcohol-free bars or different events, like from alcohol-free days to alcohol-free months to like different commitments that people take in their lives. What is also worrying is that the one part in Western Europe where the market is already saturated and people cannot actually use more alcohol than they are using now, we can say that it's stagnating, or then there are these initiatives popping up. But then we have markets that have not been really introduced to alcohol use, and it's like the developing countries where this is changing, and the alcohol industry is promoting alcohol use, promoting the Western culture through alcohol use a lot. So there we cannot see this some kind of promotion of alcohol-free lifestyle, but the other way around. So there it is on increase.
Yeah. To add to that, Lucy, that from our perspective, we are 164 years old, and in the Western world, our organizations, they have to adapt to the 21st century, and they have to find ways to promote the attractiveness and the benefits of an alcohol-free lifestyle. And so from our perspective, what you and Soberistas do is a huge inspiration. So we can see that in the Western world, there is a movement towards more alcohol-free. We can see this among young people in the UK, in Sweden, in Australia, I think also in the US. And then there is the other perspective that Christina has talked about, which is what happens outside the Western world, because any given year, the majority of the world population actually lives alcohol-free. Any given year, 62%, I think, of the adult population around the world lives alcohol-free. And they are mostly outside Western Europe and the US. So this is a huge market for the alcohol industry, and our role is to protect those people and the choices they want to make, or the decision for them to live alcohol-free. That's like a competition now between us in the alcohol-free movement and the alcohol industry.
Yeah, I think as well, when you examine, or when you look quite a bit further into how the alcohol industry is tapping into those markets like Africa and China, it really helps you to see how exactly what they've done to this country, and in the West. It's a useful way of alerting yourself to their strategies, I think, and how they've manipulated people, and that everything that we accept about alcohol as being normal is actually just a series of strategies and marketing techniques from the alcohol industry. It's all created, and it's just been done very, very well for a long time, and so it's become entrenched and it's become normal. And that's what I feel like we're fighting against. It's like, you are kind of swimming against the tide, really, and trying to live your life in a way that I think is completely normal now. To me, living without alcohol is the right way to be. It's the normal way to be, and it's all that alcohol craziness that seems to me just barking mad. But when you're in the middle of it, that's the normal way to live. And it's just kind of trying to rewire your brain and retrain how you think when you live in a society that's so, immersed in that alcohol-centric, lifestyle. It's very difficult, but it's great that the work that you guys do is really helpful. And I know you do a lot with young people as well, which is like really important to try and change younger generations, which hopefully will have a longer standing impact. Well, I think that's the end of the webinar for tonight now. So thank you both a lot for joining us, and it was really, really interesting. And you're a great advert for not drinking, the pair of you. You look great. Well, thanks a lot. Sorry?
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. And hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. And thanks everybody for joining us. Bye. Bye.